Hello, we're back with another session. This is Elderbrain playing Torrents with the Spellhoarder, and I have the wonderful April, Joe, John, and Tommy with me. Twice the dice. And the rest of us, please introduce yourselves and your characters very briefly, please, and then let's jump into action. April.
All right. Hi, I'm April. I am playing Mayra. She is a Triton, Oath of the Open Sea Paladin.
Joe.
Hi, my name is Joe. I'll be playing Rax. Rax is a Worm Slayer Ranger.
John.
Hello, I'm John, and I'm playing Ko, the Echo Knight and Eater of Snacks.
Hello everyone, I'm Tommy. I'll be playing Ferro Malars, the young Bronze Dragon Ranger.
Ooh. So, if you have already liked or will like our show, then please subscribe and like us. And let's see what we got for today. So, a bit of a recap before we start and jump into action. You have been invited through a letter that you have received in a very from a lord of a Draelish city-state, Brian Shore, the Lord of Brian Shore, called Lord Captain Samuel Drael, one of the descendants of the Drael family, who said that this letter has been delivered by a sea captain from Santaros, the Isles of Santaros, to him to be handed to you. And with this invitation, when you roll out this parchment, which you can see on the screen, you see that it's a personal invitation for the three of you, Mayra, Rax, and Ko, who are well-known heroes of the land, and you are being invited by a certain noble of Santaros, a half dragon lord whose name is Rinovaram Shatterwind. Lord Shatterwind invites you to help him convince the council, the scaled council, he refers to it, of Santaros, to wage a war against the Sahugin, and not to stand idle and let the houses like his handle it on their own. So he would like you to convince them for a united war, to reach a united war effort, to fight this threat, which he considers an invasion. He offers you gold and fame, and you soon find yourself from the balconies of Lord Samuel Drael on the deck of the Sated Contessa, a very normal-looking sailing ship, not well armed, but very wide and probably modified sailing ship to have more cargo, or to be able to hold more cargo, of a certain captain, a halfling captain named Captain Gix Shortpebble, and his first mate Jade Storm, who is a half-giant, hulking half-giant, is bossing the crew around. So you have been introduced to the ship very briefly. You joined actually, I forgot that there were two passengers that the Lord of Brian Shore asked you to escort to Santaros. One of them is a very shy, soft-spoken priest of the Redeemer, the God of Life, called Father Volnir, and the other is a more lively gentleman who is a diplomat of Brian Shore, and probably from the inner circles of the Lord himself, called Coduin Gwilas. These two gentlemen and yourself board the ship, Captain Gix and Jade very briefly welcome you. They even say, and Gix is always talking, and Jade is not. Gix tells you that they need to prepare the ship for departure, and that you will have time to indulge and discuss stuff and ask your questions and all that. But you can take your rooms and settle in. And he actually mentions that he will invite you for dinner into his private quarters, the captain's quarters, and that once the ship has departed, then you will be invited at night for a dinner where you can introduce, all of us can introduce ourselves and enjoy life as it should be enjoyed to the fullest. It smiles and goes around and does stuff. So if you check on the map, you can see the rooms that you have occupied. Of course, Feral Malars is on the deck. It goes into Rax's room, but then the room just very quickly gets really small for you.
Kind of cramped in there with.
And then he just goes out. Also, dragons don't like being in tight places.
And Ferromelars is 9 feet tall and weighs about a ton. So.
Be like, boundaries, mate, boundaries.
Just maybe peeks his head into the rooms, like curiously.
I just wanted to zoom in here and show you. Yeah, so I think with this. Oh, where is Mayra? Where is Mayra? She's in the hold. Why did you go to the hold? Come back. So
she's checking out the ship.
Mare makes a very strategic room choice and goes into the room which is close to the entrances and all that. Rags just checks all the rooms and goes into the largest one. And then you see these two other guests who occupy some of the rooms. One of them is escorted with. Does the screen refresh? Like I'm resizing this one, and does it refresh for you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So this gentleman looks very nobly escorted by some servants who leave the ship and get off the ship. But he's taken to this central room, and then there is this gentleman who smiles at everyone, waves a hand, but doesn't really introduce himself yet. Also looks quite wealthy with all the gold and fur and luxurious clothing that he has. He goes into a small room and settles in. So the crew readies the ship. It's very early in the morning, and it is probably an hour or two process. They have probably started earlier. It's about 40-50 men, of all species, men and women and all species. They prepare the ship, and the first mate is actually standing silently, watching them from the top. What is the bottom part of the ship called? Oh, that's the aft. Anyway, so the stern, whatever. So from behind the wheel, and watching them set up everything. And do you care for anything? Do you want to do anything at this moment? Get out of your rooms, go around. Please, Joe.
I think Rax, getting settled into his room, has probably, not knowing what's the next thing that we're supposed to do or where we're supposed to be. He's assuming that it's time for us to chill. So, is there a window in the room that I'm in?
Actually, no.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's no good, is it?
Yeah, and the
I think
room
he
is
would.
quite simple, actually, very simple.
I think he would pull out. Rax has a very large pipe, like the old school, like Sherlock Holmes style pipes. I think he would pull out his pipe pack it full, put his feet up, lean back, and pull out the little wine bottle or whatever he brought with him from that first meeting that we had, that he had in his pack.
Yeah.
Pop that open and just start relaxing. He figures when somebody needs me, they'll come and knocking. So he's going to just be spending some time kicking back and chilling.
Okay, the room very quickly becomes a smoke room, you know, like fully up in smokes. But
Well, I didn't think that through, did I?
that doesn't
Time to go
bother me.
outside.
It soon starts to, spill out of under the door. But it's not so heavy that people start knocking and asking if there's a fire. They can.
He
smell
has
the
some street
tobacco.
smarts, but not a lot of smarts. We're going to take all this out to the top deck, and I think he's just going to sit by and watch the water go by and enjoy his pipe out there.
All right. So you go up the deck and you see these crew members, just the sailors, just setting up the ship and all that. Anybody else?
Yeah. So I think at the end of the last session, when we were first kind of seeing the ship, there were some concerns about the defensibility of the ship, and especially given where we are passing through. So given that, as her initial impressions, I think Mayra would be moving among the, doing a deeper inspection of the entire ship and starting to formulate thoughts of, okay, I need to let them know that this is what they need to do because this is not okay. So I think that's what she's doing right now, is she's kind of she's doing that thorough inspection and getting her.
All right. So yeah,
right.
the military approach. So you walk up to the top deck and told me if you could please help me out checking. I think there are three, actually not drawn on the map, 3 ballistas on the ship, which you check and are in good condition.
I think no ballistas.
No ballistas?
No.
Oh, because the base
Yeah,
sailing ship has no ballistas.
yeah, it's not a. It's
There's-
Gix's and Jade's expertise is
Yeah, the
the
top
defense of
left.
the ship.
Wait. The top left, it's not a ballista. It's a heavy crossbow attached to the side, to the railing.
That's the anchor.
That's the anchor. I'm sorry. There's no defense, nothing on the ship.
No siege weapons.
I'm
on
sorry,
the
no
ship.
siege weapons.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we are the siege.
So you see the sailors being very lightly armed. Daggers, short swords. That's the maximum. And you see Gix in a big rocking chair behind the wheel. His legs up the wheel. He kind of reminds
An
you,
elevated rocking chair,
Yeah.
or a tiny wheel. Which
No,
one?
no. I was considering this is a big wheel, but he has this little podium that he can stand up on. I was thinking actually about this earlier, and now he put this rocking chair, and he's just chilling. He reminds you very much of Rax and his attitude, and he's there and he's not smoking, but he's also drinking and sipping the wine, and watches you, like side-eyeing you, like, what are you doing, and walking around and checking stuff, yeah.
So I think seeing all that, she's kind of the impression, okay, well, he's a merchant captain, and assuming more, maybe keeping an eye on Jade Storm, kind of assessing maybe is he seem to be a little bit more in tune and possibly receptive to
Jade's,
the need for this.
yeah, well, Jade Storm, first of all, Gix is well armed, so you can see him in a, probably a chainmail. I'm not sure now. I could check. Tommy could help me out.
I can check.
A rapier on his side.
Oh, that's right. He's a privateer, right? That's what we.
Yeah, well, he presents himself as a merchant. Well, you haven't talked much yet, so it's time. There's a lot to explore here, but you can see that's it. So you see a rapier and some armor, light armor. But on on Jade you don't see much of a combat equipment either. So it's a huge quarterstaff. He's half naked. There's no armor on him. He has some bruises and scars here and there. He's super powerful, bulging muscles. 7'3" in height, and he's a half giant, so he's big. But you don't know, what they are capable of.
Yeah, Gix
One
has a
thing-
fancy rapier and studded leather armor.
Studied leather. And one thing you spot on Jade is a holy symbol on his belt, like dangling down, which is quite crudely made, and it's a holy symbol of the god of nature, the Eternal Mother, and it's made out of iron and wood, and very simply put together, very simple symbolisms. But you can see the earth, wind, air, fire symbols in there, so it's that. Yeah, that's it. Anyone else? Or anything else from you, April? Mira's cool?
Nope.
I'm sorry.
Conducting her inspection, and will
Yeah.
soon report her findings.
I think Ko would be out on the top of the ship and just finding a corner where that isn't used to just watch and see the music of it all. And he had a little bone flute that he would pull out and just be playing with badly. Just trying to kind of give a little bit of music in the air and noticing like how good the crew is, do they look like they've seen combat, and just kind of taking in the way it all works, because he doesn't know how this crew works.
You can see that they are experts in operating a ship. They don't look like, real tough combatants. So some of them are even, like 16-year-olds. So they are climbing the ropes. These very light and agile guys are climbing the highest. Some of the heavier builds are pulling the heavy stuff, but they are not combatants. You don't see armor. You don't see anything that would,
Battle scars.
Okay.
tell of their tales of heroic warfare. Nothing like that. Okay.
Yeah, Lars sometimes flies out and circles the ship, and regularly dives into the water, to get some fresh brine on his
Yeah.
skin.
Between the scales. And then, at one moment, it's a thunderous roar from Jade and says, "All hands on deck!" So all the guys look up at him, and they kind of stop working, stop doing what they're doing, and all the faces of the crew turn to Jade. He says, "Weigh anchor and hoist the mizzen, you scallywags! Last one on the ropes walks the plank. We're sailing out." And they start to move the ship out of the docks of Bryan Shore. So the ship slowly, the wind catches the the ship, and the sails just bring the ship slowly out of this very, very heavily occupied and traveled port that you're in. You can see the seagulls. You can see other ships just watching you as you pass by, and in about half an hour's time you are out on the open water, and you start sailing towards east and towards the fabled Eyes of Santos.
Do I see Mayra giving her inspection on the deck?
Yeah.
I think Rax would at some point, as she's like passing by, like watching her off the side, kind of turn around and lean up against the rails, kind of with his back to the water, and his. So, love, what you think? Are we safe?
No.
Right. You think that's the case because we're a bunch of fancy lads on this place, and only one of them half giants? Or is it because we got nothing to defend ourselves with?
We are sailing into extremely dangerous waters.
Right.
This ship has no capability for defense. Beyond, the crew seems more than competent. There seems
Well, if we get
No, please provide your assessment. I am ready to hear.
look, I didn't mean to interrupt you, love. Please go on ahead.
Ko walks up at about this point just to interrupt a little bit more.
In a hand-to-hand fight, I would not have so much concern. But if we are confronted by creatures of the deep, and particularly need to fight against that, I have concerns.
Well, that's a fair assessment.
Right, large-scale combat, whether that is in numbers or in size of the foe, we are not prepared for.
Now, we've never talked about this, but what about all of your allies? Can't you, like, beat on the deck of the ship and then all the sea peoples come up and fight? I don't know how it works.
No, you do not.
Oh, great.
It is not like that.
We are the sea people right now.
Is that the name of our band?
The sea people.
Now, we need a good team name, right? What's the name
Yes.
of our team? We've never decided. We've done some stuff. I don't know what we're called. It's not Rax and his buddies.
Are you sure?
What? Look, I'm not opposed to the name. But I'm just throwing it out there. You know? I mean, we should mull it over and think about it.
Mayra is at this point more than used to the banter between Ko and Rax, and that they obviously have a different dynamic than she would necessarily be. So she she actually does enjoy the byplay, and as at this point has long passed where she gets irritated by it because she understands.
Yeah, you used
They
it.
aren't taking it that this is just the way that.
I do mean sincerely though, we should come up with a name the more we travel together. We need something for the bards to talk about. You know?
And our enemies to fear.
Right.
Lars says you are all saviors of Lars.
Good golly, mate, we're gonna tie a bell on your wing.
From above on the pagoda thing, looking down, leaning over its rim.
I mean, in truth, we could just say it's Lars and his buddies would be enough.
This is true.
I wouldn't impose.
Well, I'm just glad that we're all together off of the land, out here on the sea, full of whatever danger comes. And we don't need to worry about having anything to shoot at stuff. We got Celeste here, and we've got all of you're like the sword of the ocean, you are. And I feel safe around you.
The sword of the ocean. I bet it's already taken, though.
I bet it's not, mate. Not if you say it loud enough and enough times, and then you own it.
Alright,
Kicking
so-
back and watching the water.
Yeah, so the weather is calm, and soon the crew gets into another type of regular maintenance and operational work. They mop the floor, removing salt, so it doesn't eat the wood. They do what's needed, and basically Jade stands like a green marble statue there, watching over, very, very, very rarely shouting something. Whenever he speaks, it's very rare, but when he speaks, his voice is a roaring thunder, and very rude, actually, even to his crew. So he's like, "Oi, Tar! Watch your steps!" When a guy just almost falls with something that he brings to the captain, or whatever happens. The Captain Geek's Short Pebble, is more interested in his wine and talking something to Jade that you don't hear continuously, than doing anything else. You know, there's not much navigation needed. You know, they just go east. So the waters are safe. You know, well, he watches you. You know, whenever you show up, or whenever the other guests, of course, who also emerge from from below deck and just go for fresh air and, you know, get out of their windowless little bunker rooms. He also watches them, but he doesn't go to anyone. He's just there with Jade, drinking and talking to him. So if nothing else, then there's no food, like for there's no there's no real lunchtime set up, and you don't meet with them. You can see them eating. You get hungry, you go to your rooms, you get some of your rations, you ask for food, they provide you with food. It's very basic sea stuff. They usually start with the fresh food, and you eat the fresh food first, so it's vegetables and fresh, even meat stuff. And you eat in your room or wherever you want. But soon night falls, the stars come up, and the weather gets a bit more windy and maybe even cooler, which is refreshing because it was quite hot during the day. And very soon, wherever you are on the ship, one of the crew members comes to you and asks you to join the captain for dinner in the captain's in the captain's dining room. Please follow me. And they take you to this room I'm showing you here.
I hope Lars is also invited.
Oh, of course, only Drax. Where all the other guests have already gathered and sit around the table. I will describe the room in a second. I'm going to show the guests.
I think Ko, during the day too, once he noticed that the pipe was going strong, would have axed Rax for a little bit and smoked with a smaller pipe.
My son, I've always got an extra pack for you.
Excellent.
I've already put you in here, so you don't have to move your characters. Full service. And I move Jade back.
While you're doing that, would you like us to describe our characters and what we're...
Oh, yes, please. And I will do the same with those sitting around later. Yes, please.
All right.
Start.
Oh, right. Since I said it, I guess I have to start.
Yes.
Yes, you volunteered.
So, Mayra, for dinner this evening, since we are on the ship, she wears very light, comfortable, easy to move in clothing. She has a shirt that is sleeveless and somewhat low cut. Not just, it reveals her tattoo that's on one side of the big nautilus that covers her shoulder and then runs across the bottom her back. And then it also reveals the scars, the very prominent scar. And the outfit is obviously designed to kind of keep that opening, so both of those are on display. She, of course, has her holy symbol, those seem to be the three main features that she's focused on, rather than even her own appearance, which is the aquamarine skin, green-blue hair, very Triton-y looking, and she is 5 foot tall. So her imposing, all 5 foot stature strides in with that. Yeah.
I make your talking smaller a bit.
She's still medium size, you know.
Of course. Joe?
I think Rex probably goes fishing around in his trunk for, what do I have that's remotely good looking, that, now that we got to do this. I think he would take a little bit of grease and kind of try to smooth his beard out some, and then take a beard ring that is gold instead of his usual silver with a little red gem on it to kind of tie into his vest. It's the only fancy thing he has. Go ahead and work that in so it's very prominent. Right there in the middle of the beard. All right, now I look like a proper gentleman. Nice, very nice. And head in to find a good seat.
Well, you find the best seat at the, just opposite the captain, and, without any remorse, you just sit down,
That's why you get to
facing
these
him.
things early.
Yeah. John.
Yes, Ko would just be wearing his normal the bracers that he has, the kind of leather bounding climbing gear almost is what it would look like to normal people, but that's just stuff where he can put on his shield and sword. He would bring his shield and sword. His helmet he would take off and put under his chair, but he would walk in with it and have it where it would be easily grabbed. He doesn't need any clothes. Everything's covered.
Yep.
And Lars doesn't need to squeeze in, I see, into the dining room. So kind of strides in and sits at the corner of the table so he can lean over and pick stuff off the table if needed.
Oh, you occupy a sofa, which
A sofa, but
which when you
yeah,
climb
so-
on as a dog would,
Just
in a
crash it.
house. Yeah. Gix is like looking at you and your claws, how you damage the fine cover of the sofa. And he's like, "Oh, take care of the sofa. It's from Aglarian, please."
Ko would offer to telekinesis anything Lars wants to him. So, like, what do you want next, Lars? And he would just
Oh.
grab,
Very
bring
convenient.
it to you.
Point and deliver.
Yep.
All right. In the room sits these four at the table. Well, let's describe the room first. So the captain's dining room, in the captain's dining room, in the center of the room is it's occupied by a finely carved, massive wooden table and 8 velvet-covered chairs, sitting on an antique rug of the finest quality. 2 smaller sofas line the walls on one side, and the cabinet holding silver dishes and utensils on the other. In the back of the room, behind the captain's seat, the wall is covered by a large painting of Captain Gig's short pebble in an immaculate blue admiral's formal uniform with golden strings and a red sash.
Show a picture.
I will show a picture. Let's show a picture now.
I think Ko would spend quite some time looking at the picture, noticing the art and the style.
Okay, so the scene, I'm going to zoom out. You need to zoom out. I need to, oops, too large. Oof.
There's no such thing as the too large feast.
Yeah. So this is the image. Can you see it?
Yes, that's awesome.
Okay. There's the
Yeah.
painting.
Wow, look at that.
Painting of Gix in the background. I would like to draw your attention to that piece of art.
I love that it's him and the painting of him. That's so fantastic. That tells you most of the things you probably need to know right away.
In an admiral's uniform.
With an
no less.
admiral's uniform.
He gets it magically enchanted where it just winks every once in a while.
Yeah, and if that's representative of the food we're about to eat, then as we established in the first, I think Ko is not the only eater of snacks on this in this crew. I think it pretty much describes everybody. So yeah, Mera is definitely looking forward to the repast.
Yeah. So these gentlemen around the table as you can see, Father Volnir and Kaduing Villas, and the two other guests, Geek Shortpebble, Jade, and three sailors dressed as servants or servers, actually. So the long dining table is set with silverware, silver dishes, fine glasses, and soft linen. Several bottles of sweet wine, Aglaronian sweet wine, sit on the table. And you see three of these sailors, a thuggish human, a half-elf, and a beautiful young girl who act as servers and help the dinner attendees. They are all dressed in their regular sailor uniform, except for the very fine silk white gloves that they wear on their hands. Of course, they are not, expert servers, and they are not really good at this, so they don't come from your left side and serve you that way. But they help with whatever they can and put the food on the table. So what happens is that of course Geeks takes initiative, stands up, and once everybody is seated, he introduces himself. So he goes, "Ahoy, mateys! Welcome to my ship. It's going to be a long voyage. We are going to ride these seas and arrive to Santoros in about 7 weeks' time. My name is Captain Geek Shortpebble. As you might have already heard, the bards singing my glorious tales. This mighty sea dog behind me is Jade Storm, my first mate. Don't get on the wrong end of his temper. We have traveled these seas for years now, even decades. The last years we've been trading between the Isles of the Gifted, which refers to, which is Santoros that he refers to, and Drael, and even Aglarian while it was possible. Before that, we traveled wide and far to the east, to the south. We conquered islands, and we were revered as gods by the tribesmen. We were hunting loot and bounties. We defeated monstrosities that were the stuff of legends. Right. The stuff of legends, right until we became ones ourselves. So, I am really happy to have you at my table tonight, and I would like each of you to introduce yourselves. This drink won't get us 3 sheets to the wind, but it tastes fine and will get us quiffy enough for an unforgettable night. I really haven't run out of breath yet. You know me. And he smiles and looks around. Could even sing a chanty or two, but as etiquette dictates, I will let my illustrious guests introduce themselves. So, and he looks at Kaduing Vilas sitting on his right. So, good sir, please. So, Kaduing Vilas just rises and says that he seems to enjoy the social event. He smiles and nods and when Geeks pats his back or shoulder, then he pats him back and stands up and he says that my name is Kaduing Vilas. I am from Brine Shore, and now everybody please roll a perception check, DC 15, just like last time. I am a representative of Brine Shore. I am a representative of Lord Captain Samuel Drael on an important mission to establish relations between the half-dragons of Santoros and my good lord. He raises a glass and says, "Here to a future filled with opportunities that make a difference." And the captain goes, "Hey, aye, really nice introduction. Thank you so much." Anybody succeeded?
What's the DC?
15.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah.
I rolled a 20.
18 on the die.
Who did not? It's Rex.
And my
He was busy checking
And
himself, make
Mare?
sure he looked presentable.
Yeah.
I did
No.
not see it. I
So
made
Co and Lars, you spot a tattoo on his back here, like the below his neck, on the back of his neck, which is basically a very intricate symbol of it's just black ink, a symbol of intricate entwined lines. So nothing particular, but a symbol, certain looks kind of like a rune sort of thing, but very intricately detailed, and you can't really make anything out of it. So it doesn't, you don't recognize it for anything particular. So then Geeks, Captain Geeks goes, "Dear Lady Paladin, introduce yourself, please, to our illustrious guests here."
Of course. I am Mayra Deepscar of the Azure Abyss. My clan is the role of guardian. And as she says that, she touches the spiral nautilus tattoo that runs the collar and across her shoulder, and it always has a faint bioluminescent. And as she says that reference to her clan, she touches that and it flares a little bit brighter.
Okay, thank you. Well,
When
Thank
she
you.
does that, just kind of bang the table. He would kind of bang the table with his mug a little bit.
yeah, and then everybody's a bit silent, and then Geeks takes over again and says, "Well, that was short but very interesting. So, the Azure Abyss. Yeah, we all know where that is, right? We all know the tales. We all know everything about it. So yeah, thank you so much. So
Obviously,
good
yeah,
s-
Mayra says, "Oh, you asked who I am. That is who I am." It
I
does not
know.
make
I
the next step going,
Thank you for the
Oh.
introduction.
right, exactly.
Thank you for introducing yourself. Good sir, good sir Finanza, can you please introduce yourself? So this gentleman in the glasses stands up. I will try to. Well, you can see him with the red wine almost out of the bottle or the glass here to the left of the picture. So he stands up and he's a bit tipsy by now, and he goes, "My name is Sorian Finanza. I am from the island of Santaros itself. I'm traveling home. I'm a merchant of antiquities of the rarest kind. I am very happy to be on this ship. I have been traveling with Captain Gix several times before, and I can tell you there is no better captain to take us from one point to another, especially if that's Trail and Santaros, the seat of scales at Santaros." So, and he drinks. He's very cheerful about the whole event. "I always love these dinners, meeting new people, and I am very happy and excited to go home with my newest findings and my successful business from Drael. I am delivering priceless antiquities, and I am very happy. I am a man of commerce with a thirst for adventure, a good deal, and a well-aged wine." And then he refills and drinks more and sits down, and Gix is hitting the table and, "Good Sir Finanza, you are always a kind guest of my ship. I'm really happy to have you on board again. So now," and just looks in your eyes across the table, "Rex, the famous, please rise and introduce yourself. I'm sorry, introduce
April?
yourself.
Yeah, I just have a quick question.
Please, I'm sorry.
Sarlian, he's human, right?
Yes, he is.
Is that unusual? Because he just said he's from Zentaros. Is that unusual that a human would be there?
I would like to ask you to roll a history check, please.
Okay. I can do that because I have dice and I know how to roll. Unfortunately, my dice do not like me, so I just
Punish
rolled
them.
a 4. I have multiple sets, and they will definitely.
Well, you have no idea. So maybe he,
Okay.
maybe he's lying. You don't know. You know what's going on. You don't know anything about Suntours, it seems. So, I mean, not particularly about the species that inhabit it. Yep. So Gix just raises a hand and says, "Good Lord Rax, please rise and amaze us with your wonderful stories. I have heard so many of them. I even have this. Where's my book? Where's my book of? I brought my book of Rex's legends and fantastic voyages.
And we all
Well,
hold
Captain.
up a copy.
Yeah, I have it somewhere here, or maybe I don't know. I have it in my.
I will be most happy to sign that for you.
I think Rax would put his hands on the table and stand up very slowly and just kind of take a look around.
My name is Rex. I'm a hunter of bed dragons, a befriender of the good ones, and I'm very excited to be here with all of you. If you've got copies of that book, I'm happy to sign it. And I'd like to give a toast, if I could. I'm sure there's going to be many of them tonight.
Please go
Here's
ahead.
to our enemies. May they have the accuracy of a blindfolded goblin with a slingshot.
And then Sorian Finance is half drunk, like starts hitting the table. Gix is laughing hard. Of course, Jay just stands and watches. Thank you so much. Such quality entertainment tonight. I would like to also ask, good Lord Pritus Nerkra, please, sir, a real noble amongst us, rise and introduce yourself. So, Lord Pritus Nerka rises. He's the one on the image. I need to go back to the left of him, right? This is, again, a human male person, freshly shaved, smells lightly of sweet lavender cologne, stays quite reserved during the introductions and throughout the whole event. With a diplomatic smile, he says that I am not a direct descendant of Draelish nobility, but through marriage I have joined the family. I am very excited over the voyage, and I had a long wanderlust, especially aimed especially at Suntours, which I am very happy to explore and to visit. I am privileged to be amongst your company. I'm happy to be in the presence of such illustrious company, and may the Eternal Mother bless us all with a safe voyage. And then he raises a glass and sips a bit, and everybody's drinking, and yes, another occasion. Every time we raise a glass, we drink one fully, says Sorian Finanza, and then Gix just laughs and pats him, and then he turns to Cole and says, "Good, sir. Please introduce yourselves. We hardly have met many of your species yet, so I am very intrigued to know more of you and anything. Introduce yourself, please."
Ko would bow heavy on the table, and then from that stand up, raise the glass and put it down, and say, "I am second in line to my clan, the great clan of turtles. Few know of us, but once they have met us in combat, they will always remember our style of Echo Knight." And then you would see him bow again and manifest an echo right next to him.
Whoa! Gix steps back, almost falls from the chair.
Yeah.
What is that?
This is the style of combat that
Look,
many of
Jade,
my-
it's magics! That's how they call it now?
Yes, it is magic. It is the style that my clan has mastered of calling
Oh,
upon each
wonderful.
other to help each other in combat. And you see a semi-astral projection of not Ko, but definitely a species that looks like Ko, but it's a different.
Mhm.
And he would get into it if they asked, but that you would see them both bow in sequence, and then the manifestation disappears.
Sure. Wait. Should we bring him a chair and
No.
a plate or a glass or?
My brothers and sisters are fine to appear and then disappear at
They do.
our calling.
I see.
They
That's
help
quite
greatly in-
useful, I would say. Jade, have you seen anything like that before? Jade is, folded arms in the back and goes, no. And then
Laura raises her glass.
then Sorian Finanzas just, it's amazing. I've heard of this before, but never seen it in my life. It's amazing. Really interesting. And who are you, good sir? Because now you told us about your species and the wonderful stuff they can do, but who are you? Says Geese.
Ko would click at that and would say, I am second in my clan to take over, and I look to make our name as the turtle race and as my clan known about the realm as a clan for good and for protection, and to see the good people thrive well.
Oh, I have thought we only have one nobility in this room. My dining room hosts two of these nobles tonight. So, a clan leader, the son of a clan leader, as I understand.
Yes.
Yes.
We don't value much and put most value in what you humans would call nobility, or halflings call nobility. But yes, among my people, my voice rings and echoes heavy, and would call a great army if need be.
I see.
But in most conflicts, I'm enough.
I see. Well, I hope you will lose your seriousness tonight. Please drink more. This is a night to rejoice and to have fun and forget about combat and war and fighting and all that. All you have
Go
to
and
fight
click
is
again
that.
as he raises his glass and takes a sip.
Please, be my guest. This Agleronian sweet wine is one of the best I could get for this journey. So next he turns to Father Volnir, who is sitting very politely, and I would like everybody to roll an insight check, please.
That's a 1.
Punish the dice.
19.
It needs to be.
A solid 2.
You need to be in charge, not your dice. It's
Ours
a
got
DC
a
11.
19. Okay.
11.
12 on the die.
12, 11, both succeed. So you can see as the priest, as Captain Geeks calls out to the priest to introduce himself, he's kind of lost in watching one of this fine lady who is serving food while you're putting the plates in front of you because the food has not arrived yet. And he's like, oh yes. He's drawing his attention back. You kind of feel like you've seen him making eye contact with this girl before, and the girl kind of smiles back at him, and then the father kind of blushes and looks away. So in the middle of this act, Giggs just calls out to him and says, "Good Father Volnir, please introduce yourselves to the other guests." So Father Volnir stands up and politely introduces himself. He says, "I am Father Volnir from Brine Shore. There is a holy significance to my journey to the Isles of Santaros. I am about to conduct an investigation and research into the mystical gift of Santaros. I'm really not ready to. I'm not. There's nothing else to say. If I might sit down, good Captain. Oh, no. I mean, please, tell more. I mean, you need to introduce yourself properly. Well, I would really like to just sit and watch and enjoy your company if I can. I'm really not a man of many words. The wonders of life surround us, and we are but mere observers trying to understand it as we are redeemed. There's a silence, and Geeks is like, okay, I get it. Just sit down. You better sit down. And then
That was beautiful.
Sorian just laughs and bring more wine, girl. And then they start. Then he starts to drink more and more, and he gets drunk first.
That being said, Ko would be managing it. He is not wanting to get drunk. He knows that having his wits about him is always a smart thing.
Yeah. Gix looks at the dragon and says, please, mighty creature, companion of Rex, introduce yourself as well.
I will also keep it short, so you can enjoy your feast.
Oh yes, the feast, he interrupts you. I almost forgot about the feast. Are we ready? Looks at Jade. Jade is like, it's been ready for a long time. And then Gix looks at the girl and says, Solara, please start serving the food, please. It is. I would like to tell you that this food has been especially carefully prepared by Jade himself and Solara, who are experts at this. And I would like to tell you how there's a story I could tell you, and I will, of course, later on, about how I met Jade in the kitchens of the Black Barracuda 20 something years ago, where we were gang pressed by the pirates. Anyway, bring the food, please. The first course is fragrant fish and crab soup. I named it the boiling waves of the Calhei Sea. The second dish will be wild goose with creamy mushroom sauce and spicy rice balls. I have given a name. Which was the name? The name was the Treasures of the Ulden Plains. And then the dessert is my favorite. It's tapioca pudding in coconut cream with a sticky strawberry and honey sauce we call the kiss of the lusty lover. Please enjoy, and please bring the food. And then they start serving the food and bring out this fish soup in front of everybody, which is absolutely fabulous.
Lars just lets go of a little bit of a hissing, crackle of lightning at being so rudely interrupted by the captain for the for the dishes. But doesn't voice his irritation. Lets the slide go.
I think hearing that, Rax would turn.
You know what, Lars? I know a little bit about you, but I don't know enough. Why don't you tell us all a bit about where you come from, and maybe something you've done that's super cool?
Oh, wait! Before you do that, says Captain Giggs. He stands on the chair as the food is being served. He stands on the chair and says, this gave me a very, very good idea, actually.
Oh, God, mate.
Why don't we all tell a tale of fame and legend of ourselves? Why don't we boast tonight? Why don't we just tell our best stories to each other? Lars, you can start.
Ko would just shake his head.
Okay, Lars rises a little bit.
But keep it entertaining, please.
I will try. I'm not the boastful type.
You know what? I'll start first, says Geeks. The thing that happened to me And
Cohen
shocked
just
me
like-
the most in my life was this particular event, and he doesn't care about interrupting Lars in middle of the sentence. He goes, you know what? Jade, I tell them the story about how we got captured and then how we recaptured the ship. Listen, we were on the, what was its name? The Velvet Lady or the Velvet, Velvet, whatever. This ship. We owned many ships during our adventures. This ship, we were traveling around with, you know what I mean? And we got attacked by pirates. I don't even remember their names. It was so long ago. Was it the Mad Hearties? No, I don't remember what they were. They were named, but they attacked our ship and they took over. Our men fought, but really couldn't handle them too well. So they wanted to hornswaggle us and cleave us to the brisket. We fought like indestructible sea trolls, but we were outnumbered, as I said. Soon we had to jump and hide in our secret compartment by the broadside. It wasn't a large compartment, but Jade and I could fit in there easily, like lovers on a small, bed. And he starts like Codwing Villas laughs, and Sorian Finanza gets really drunk by now, and he's just laughing, and I can picture you two being in this compartment hugging each other. Yes, that's how it was, Geek says. And he continues that we took a short caulk, then emerged and whipped the crew into a frenzy with a speech that should have been recorded by a scribe. Remember, Jade? I was telling them about the fair share and the loot we knew of. They got interested. Soon they turned against their captain, and I kept my word. Until, well, that's another story. I'm sorry for interrupting, Lars. I'm sorry for interrupting. We took over the ship, and the mutiny happened, and I again became the captain of a new crew. Well, crews come and go. I'm sorry, Lars. Please continue. Please continue with your story.
So Lars says, as I was saying, I'm too young to boast of great deeds. But let me tell of my great-grandmother, Sraimusdirjan, who is known to...
these dragon names, Nick says.
It's Sraimusdirjan.
Yes.
Who is known to lair somewhere on the Kalhe Sea. Her titles, with which she glorifies my birthright, are the Crackling Wave, Lady Justice of the Sea, and the Weeping Bronze. Her reign is of 1,500 years, over many generations, and heirs to her might. And looks around at the table, kind of at each, guest, and says in a kind of little bit menacing voice, "Evildoers of the sea, beware, for she can swallow your ships whole."
Oh, there are no evildoers of the sea in this room, so don't worry about that. And this was more threatening or frightening than entertaining, I must say.
I didn't mean to frighten you.
Oh no, you have not frightened me, of course. That's not,
Anyway, I hope to one day live up to her legendary deeds.
And you said she lives on the Kalhe Sea.
Yeah, it kind of looks east. Her last lair is somewhere on the sea.
I see.
It is told.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Do you know where it is by any chance?
Oh no, I don't. I wish I knew, but I don't. I would probably avoid it if I knew, he says. Well, okay, that was very good. Thank you so much. Good Sir Grillas. So Codwin Grillas is also a bit tipsy. He stands and he claps loudly and he says, "I admire your story, Captain. hiding in your ship and then returning to indict mutiny and then take over the ship again. Really heroic and wonderful move. So my story is of love. Where we are in such a private company, I can tell you this, that I have been tricking one of the Draelish heirs, Lady Zokul Drael, the Holy Hand of the Redeemer and the ruler of Ismaris, through my continuous religious confirmations, to let me marry one of her daughters. She has many. I chose the most beautiful one. And then Sorian Finanza next to him being really like, no, you haven't. Yes, I have. You cheeky bastard. And then they all laugh. These two both laugh about this. Well, I married this fine lady, and I became, family. So you can see Lord Pritus Nerker just shaking his head, and Father Volnir doing the same. Father Volnir actually speaks up and says, this is not nice of you, and it was a big mistake by the High Lady to trust you. I know her quite well, and I know the story, and this is not something that you should tell so proudly. And then Vidas is like, why? We're in love. It's a love story. You don't like love stories. And then Geeks laughs, and then he sits down and he turns to Mera. Captain Geeks turns to Mera and says, maybe you have some boasts and heroics you could share with us, please.
Mara stands up and she looks a little more stern. Part of her is
something
like,
entertaining and funny, if you can, because we already have frightening stories, really annoying, not nice stories about taking the hands of ladies. And what's your story, please?
I will tell you a story of challenge and destiny.
Oh. Please do, but keep it entertaining, if you might.
I would just knock on the table a little bit, encouragement.
Yeah, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will honor you with the tale of my right of first trench. This is a ceremonial quest that all of my clan take to challenge and reveal our destiny. In mine, I had a fierce confrontation, myself alone, on my first outing, to protect my people, the creatures of the deep. And I encountered a savage shark, larger than me, but not more fierce. From that encounter, I walked away, and she points to the scar that's on her shoulder, with this reminder of my purpose, and I was given my name of Deep Scar to know and remember. My oath and vow to protect both the deep and the surface from creatures that would spread fear and harm. It was slavery, which inflicts pain, suffering, robs dignity, and does the ultimate evil of stealing freedom.
Well, if there's one thing I don't trade with, that's slaves, Geek says. I am a man of freedom. I'm a big advocate of
Make
freedom.
an insight check on that one.
Please.
Yes.
I am a big advocate of freedom, like JD's. As you can see on his face, we can see nothing on Street Face. And he says that, well,
That's an 18. on that check?
Yeah. You know, he seems to be true about that. But he has the following. I am a big advocate of freedom, but you know, with that attitude in Santoros, I don't know. I would keep very, very, very low profile because that place is a cruel slaver nation, you know.
So
But
I
let's not ruin our wonderful dinner with such thoughts. Let's drink. Yes, let's drink more, says Sorian friends. Where's my pitcher full of wine? He shouts. And then this man next to him, as you can see in the image, just refills every container he has in front of him with wine. And yeah.
April should roll a charisma check, as should I think.
For what?
Yeah. Whether Geeks is impressed or not.
Oh yes, of course. The impression, yes. Everybody who told the tale and will tell a tale, please roll. Thank you for the reminders. I'm so carried with the situation. Please roll a charisma.
Mine is 11, so not so impressive.
Actually, it's a charisma perform.
Oh, performance. Okay.
Performance, yeah.
Is it a possibly
That's the same.
or persuasion?
It's not. It's a performance. If he's impressed with your story.
Yes, we are telling tales. We are not trying to convince.
You can roll online, or you can roll with your physical, tamed dice,
Nope.
if you can.
That's a 10.
Guys, Tommy?
Mine is 11, so
So yeah, he's not too impressed.
Hard sell, man. Hard sell.
Yeah, he's seeking.
Tough crowd.
Yeah, tough crowd. He's seeking a better story and turns to Sorian Finanza and says, "Good Lord Merchant, please, you must have a good story. Last time you told me one that was really, really good, so please go ahead and try again. Try a new one." So Sorian stands clumsily, almost unable to hold his posture. He's very drunk by now. He's over with the fish soup and started he has one of the spicy rice balls in his hands, and then he realizes it's not a drink, so he drops it on the floor and picks up a cup and raises an empty glass wine, and he realizes that's empty, and then he refills it and drinks, and then he tells the tale. Well, I was hired at my shop at the Seat of Scales. He had this Italian accent. So, at the Seat of Scales, I was hired at the shop I run, which is called the Shrine of Talent. I was hired by a half-dragon, deep-sea elven noble named Lord Atrin Carnelis. It was a big honor for me to be working for one of the houses, if not even the ancient, but still the one of the bigger, larger
clans.
What?
Clans.
Clans of the land. So Lord Atrin Carnelis hired me to secure and deliver half of an ancient treasure that he called the Shell Relic of Arvanshi. This item was taken to Drael over half a year ago from Santoros by a certain, I would say, criminal who was fleeing the wrath of an unknown half-dragon noble. So he says that but he continues saying that this masked thief, who didn't even show his face to me, and whose name, of course, I haven't asked, sold me this relic before leaving Drael, and told me the story of briefly introduced me to the origins of this relic that he stole from an ancient deep sea elven tomb. This relic will earn me a small fortune when I sell it to Lord Carnalis, and as you can see, and he brings it up from under his furred coat. I'm showing you in a moment. As you can see, it is beautiful. It is magical. So he brings up this half clam, which is
Oyster shell, right?
oyster shell, yeah. That is of giant oyster. It is inlaid with giant pearls that sparkle in the candlelight as he reveals it. The shell bears some sort of a script or a rune on its surface, which you can roll an intelligence ability check to sort of decipher or recognize.
Is it religion or just intelligence?
It's not. It's just intelligence.
Co wouldn't even bother.
You never know.
No arcana, history, investigation, anything, just straight up. Okay, 18.
Well, you immediately recognize the sign of, even if it's the half of it only, it's the sign of Arvanshi, the deep sea elven leader of ancient times. And now you can roll another check just to evaluate it, so that's just to assess its value, sort of, just to put it on a level.
But everybody can roll, right?
Of course, everybody can roll.
That's just to
That's 17.
monetary value.
Yeah, like a monetary value.
Like appraise check. Yeah.
Appraise, yeah.
14.
So anybody above 13 can deduct or deduce, so that it's really, really valuable with all the gems and pearls and the size of those things. It's a 7,500 gold piece item. Okay, that sparkles with magical light as he reveals it.
I think when the second that he sees it, Rax would kind of just start clearing his throat and just sitting back.
Yeah. So he said, you see, it's beautiful. Now everybody can. Well, does any one of you, of course, I guess, might speak Ekwan, like Cole or Mara?
I think they both do.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, I get primordial based on straight up Triton. Because they're an elemental race.
Yes.
It makes sense she would speak Aquan, being from the deep, but
I would say you could add.
Aquan, okay.
Do you also speak Elvish, or does Cole speak Elvish as well?
Not Elvish, no.
This script.
Lars speaks Elvish.
Okay, so well, of course you don't discuss this right then, right then. But to anybody who speaks Aquan, you can see certain rune elements from the Aquan written language, right? Anybody who speaks Elven, you can recognize Elven runes, even words or word bases there. So you can't read it, but to all of those who speak either Aquan or Elvish, it looks familiar, but you can't really read it, right? And then at this point, I would like to ask everybody to roll an wisdom insight skill check. So while you do that, and please tell me the results. You can see Sori and Finanza just rising this piece of art and magic and beauty above the table, and then rewraps it in silk and puts it back into a large pocket under his furred coat, a very light coat.
That would be a 2.
Yeah, mine is
Five.
5. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
13.
Okay. So then he turns to Geeks. Geeks is like, well, that's really fantastic. It's always a pleasure to know rich people. He laughs. Well, I am going to visit your shop. I'm always promising, but now it's time for our hero, the hero of the room, Rex, the famous, to tell something juicy and entertaining in the
In
meantime.
other words, you're our last chance to be in.
Yeah. Yet again, Ko would pound on the table.
And also when after Mayra told her story, he would have kind of pounded his mug on the table as well. Put again both hands on the table and stand up.
Well, my sons, I could tell you about the time that I snuck a mimic out of a dragon's hoard to save its life, but that's not even nearly as interesting. Instead, I'm going to tell you a tale about the ill-fated bard that penned my own epic tale, Eldane Swiftfollow. We was in a town called Bleak Rock, and all these people were afraid of this ghost they thought was haunting their dreams and their days. So we wandered down into a cave, and what we found in the bottom there of that town was a sleeping dragon. It was having nightmares. I don't know how long it had been asleep, but long enough that it was making a mournful wail as it slept, a sort of a ooh, ooh, and twitching its foot like this. So Eldane did what he does best, and he sat down and sang the most beautiful song I've ever heard. I couldn't tell you how it went or what the words were. I was almost asleep myself when I heard it. And instead, that dragon, I put his head down, he sort of nestled himself like this. It was a copper, for anyone who wants to know. And he went off into peaceful sleep. And that was how we solved the problem of Bleak Rock and the ghost that haunted its people. And I rolled a 16 on my check.
Okay, well, Geeks claps and he fakes enthusiasm. That's a good one. That's a good one. Really, really nice. You must know a lot of dragons, and you probably have more tales to tell me. We have a long voyage. There's lots of opportunities to do so. So yeah, please keep those stories flowing. He
And if
turns
you'd like more details, reference page 16.
in the book, yes, which you should bring for me to sign. I will have that book signed. I will not forget. He will forget through the whole page. He turns to Lord Pritus Nerka, who he to him says, "Good Lord Pritus Nerka, please tell us a noble tale." Well, I have a tale I can tell you. It is very interesting. He starts speaking in this very, I don't know, how do you call this, obnoxious voice? I am a man of, I'm a well-traveled man. I can afford travel and I love traveling. So I travel. I tell you a tale about my travels to the mountains of Vordan, where I met none other than King Ralukar Doomhammer VI, mighty warrior, leader of the tribes of Warden. We feasted and shared knowledge of everything about, we shared words and wisdom, and we debated about many things for days. And at the heat of our debate, the most heated debate we had was about the origins of the mountain falls and how the mountain falls were created. Well, I must tell you, he was educated in history, but not as educated as myself. So I bested him, and in his in his admiration for my knowledge, he gifted me a fully armed war goat as a sign of his admiration and friendship. That's my story. And then he sits down. So you can roll an insight and history check, both.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. I would say Mayra probably perked up with more interest at his particular story because it has been her long dream to travel to Wardan, one of the places she has not seen.
Also, he boasts about, of course, being the friends of King Ralukar, Doomhammer the Sixth. Well, he's a good friend of mine. We share noble blood and we share tales and blah blah blah.
That is a 11
That's
on insight
Mm-hmm.
and a 13 on history.
Okay.
Mine is 17 on insight and 3 on history. Or something. 4.
What's the mountain falls, right?
Yeah.
Falling
Seven.
mountains.
17 on insight and a natural 20 on history.
That's a solid 7.
Okay. He sits down and Gix turns to him. You can already see Sori and Finanza kind of like falling off the chair, being so drunk. But Gix is like, "Oh, good, Sir Finanza, don't fall off the chair before Father Volnir entertains us with something very holy." Haha! Kaduingvila starts hitting the table. Let's hear a holy tale. Father Volnir is really reserved and stays reserved and said, "No, I'm sorry, good people. I'm Captain. I'm sorry. I'm not really here to tell tales. I would like to pass on this opportunity. I'm a humble person, and I'm hesitant to tell tales of grandeur about myself." As he says so, please again. But actually, anybody who rolled can notice with the insight check. He can notice that he's still eyeing this maid. This sailor girl who's dressed as a maid or is acting as a maid here. Whoever has not noticed can roll an insight check now. I think it was Rax and Mera who missed this. While he speaks, he actually speaks to this girl as he speaks. So he's like
17.
he looks out from the captain and says to this girl, "I'm not really here to tell tales of grandeur about my humble self," and then sits down. I'm sorry, what was the roll?
Sorry to interrupt. It was a 17.
17. Yeah. So you can see him actually checking her out like top to bottom, and the girl smiles back again. And then Father Volnir tries to hide this exchange of eye contact. And
I'm gonna bump his chair with my foot
Yeah.
when I see it, and then just kind of smile at him, and then turn my attention elsewhere.
And then Giggs goes, "Well, you should keep your eyes on the feast and not my sailors, you know?" Father Warner is like totally shocked and no, I'm sorry, that's a misunderstanding. Okay, don't worry about it. You owe me a story, Father Volnir. You owe me a story.
I was trying so hard to be subtle, and then he just put it out in the world. I was gonna be like, "See you," and it's like, "Oh, I guess we're all talking about it now." 10-4.
So
Co would interject at this point and say, "Father, I always find it interesting that many of people of faith feel a call to serve. Maybe sharing of that story would be enlightening to us and a call to the good that we are about to do."
That's a good save, mate.
Oh, well, I'm really not one of those priests that speaks in front of large audiences, I'm sorry to say. If you don't mind, I prefer to keep to myself. Actually, and he stands, "It's quite late. I should be back in my room for my prayers," and then bows. And Gix is like, "Oh, Father Volnir, you ruined the feast. The party is over. Why, oh why?" We have to repeat tomorrow. And every night.
Hearing this would take the closest wine and telekinesis and just try to get it in front of Gax as he's speaking and deflating the father.
Yeah. Oh well, he doesn't.
But then Geeks tells the story just to finish off with a bang, I guess, right?
No, it's just well, he looks at Sorian Finanza, who is like head on the table, and he goes, well, I will look up the names of these sailors to make sure I call them the right way. Jantos, Frederick, please bring him to his room. And I'm okay, says Sorian Finanza. I'm really okay. No, good sir, just rest. Thank you for attending, and thank you for sharing your stories, says Gix. Next time.
Wait, stand up. Wait a minute. I haven't heard a tale from my good friend Cole.
Oh, did we miss Cole?
I would appreciate
Prince
a story.
Cole. I'm
before we all
sorry.
go off.
Yeah, you can bring Mr. Sorian Finanza to his room. Yes. And while you tell your story, just Sorian Finanza is being escorted by this brutish human and this half elf to his room, while the lady just collects all the or brings more wine. I'm sorry, and serves more. I'm sorry, Prince Ko. How could I have forgot? Maybe you were just too silent and missed my attention.
I tend to do that. Rax being the better storyteller than myself. I'm a little bit for the show of it all. And then you see he instantly manifests an echo behind him. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you the story of how I met this one.
Oh.
He was the first one that I had met.
Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. It's such a mistake from my end to not let you speak first. Maybe this is gonna be the most entertaining story we have.
Know about that.
Also visuals and everything. Magics, Jade, magics.
Good gravy.
Many of my race can manifest this, but not all of us. Through meditation or emergency or through training. Mine was through emergency, as being second to the clan. We're trained to protect. We're trained to watch the walls. And while we have our guards, there was one time that the guards were away handling something else, and I saw a youngling venturing a little too far and getting attacked by some wolves. And being the young and impetuous turtle that I was, I went to help. Outflanked and outnumbered, I was not able to keep up with the pack. And then in a moment of desperation, I called out, and he answered the call.
And who is he?
And he's just an echo. Well, John saying this is just an echo. This is my brother, as we refer to each other as brothers and sisters, not knowing the name of the vestige that comes to aid us, but knowing their face and who they are. We hope often we don't meet face to face, but we hope one day too. And this being my oldest brother, we were able to quickly dispatch the wolves and save the youngling and return them to his family. We have known each other for many years.
Wonderful.
Many times, as I have also helped him in situations. It is a joy and delight to travel across the waves, the oceans, and lands to help each other do good and to keep each other safe.
That's amazing. Actually, astonishing story. So, can you send one of these vestiges back if you forget to bring something from home to fetch it for yourself?
I can't do that, but I can do this. But I can do
like
this.
You don't have change on you in a bar and you need change.
No, but I can do this, and then you see within an instant that Ko and the Echo switch places, and Ko is now standing.
Wonderful! Do that again! Do that again! You can now roll. You can now roll with advantage on the charisma check.
Charisma check?
Performance.
Charisma performance.
With advantage.
Can I beg and plead for advantage since I had?
He just
you got
gave
it.
Since I had visuals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so 7 or
Oh.
higher, and I have just charisma, no bonus, so 7.
Okay. Well, you say it in such a monotone tone that he's really entering. He's like, "Wow, ooh, really? Hmm." and Kodwin Gulas and everybody is just eyes wide with the demonstration. Well, sorry, Finance is already in bed probably. Father was just at this moment with this high level of entertainment. He just bows and excuses himself, and Captain Geeks Short Pebble thanks you for this wonderful demonstration and story, and concludes the dinner at this point. He says you can take any of the leftovers to your room if you want. Take as much as you want, and enjoy the rest of the trip. We will exchange words and share wisdom. And yeah, like mind the fresh food while it lasts. So thank you again for joining me, and Jade, for this dinner. And I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and you heard great stories and had good entertainment. And I hope you liked the food that Jade and Solara prepared for you, especially the lusty lover's kiss, which you just pick up the last strawberry cream rice balls, and then these two return. Actually there are more of these crew members come in and start to pack up the table, and Geeks shakes your hand and pats your back and says, "Well, it's time for me to visit the most private place I know here." And then he
A word, Captain, when you return.
Sure. Of course, sure. Joe?
I think as Rax is walking out, picking up one of the what was it called? The last kiss, or the
kiss of the lusty lover.
Kiss of the lusty lover. I think as he's picking one of those up and he's taking a bite, just walking out of the room, talking to just random person who's leaving, right, or someone, and being like,
This is probably the second best kiss I've ever had. Did I tell you about that time? And I once kissed a siren in the middle of it.
walking out.
yeah. This is Lord Pretus Nerkern. Oh, you have. What a wonderful story.
Yeah.
Please tell me more. Do you care for a smoke upstairs, on the deck? Let's talk.
I would be delighted.
All right.
And as we're heading out, Mayra would approach Ko, and she doesn't pat him on the back because she knows that turtle. That
He can't feel it.
He, like I said, wherever the squeezes,
you can knock.
and says, "The tale of your right of first trench. If you have not taken a name, I can see where your destiny was revealed as a protector.
Yes.
We should find your name."
An additional name would be interesting to discover. I look forward to more adventure with you that we might do that one day.
You see, you just fought and waged war and never talked about your background and history and origins. So, at this moment, I would like to conclude today's session and ask you to please give us some feedback and tell us about your what you have, how you feel about the story, and what you have, what's your takeaway from the story so far and the events that have unfolded. So of course this is very introductory, but yeah, please, Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it is, there's a lot of tension. I think Rax is someone who is very used to traveling on his own, and now with Lars, and now all of a sudden we're part of a group that seems to, like, this is going to stay together for a while, which even at this level that we're playing these characters at, this is a brand new, in a lot of ways, experience for him to be kind of embedded with a team. And now this team is embedded within another group of people, and knowing how Ko and Mayra and Lars and also himself kind of feel about slavers and things like that. He's like, we're heading to a nation that is all about that in a lot of ways. And, you know, he's like, I'm sure some of these people may have been involved in that trade at some point to some degree. And so there's a high level of discomfort, which is not something he's used to feeling.
Mm-hmm.
He's used to convincing himself that he's the smartest person in the room, even though he very much knows that he isn't. But he's used to putting that kind of facade on, kind of fake it till you make it kind of thing, you know, to just pretend that he knows what he's talking about. But he truly feels like a, I can't think of another way to say it. It feels like a dime in a room full of quarters all of a sudden. You know, Ko and Mayra are actual heroes. They've done all these tremendous things, and even though he's done some heroic things, he feels very kind of small in this company and also really concerned about this could get really bad really fast. And so that's kind of where he's sitting. So the tension is really high with him, and that's why he keeps walking off to have a smoke and have a drink. He's trying to calm his nerves and probably telling more stories than he's used to telling. Well, let's get into it. You know, he's trying to stay calm.
Okay, but you will have plenty of time to, you know, get to know these people, to maybe feel different, and let your let this feeling go, or even it might grow. You never know who these people are.
It's gonna be a long voyage.
It's a long voyage.
On a small ship.
So,
7 weeks. We're gonna get to know each other.
so Mayra, how does Mayra feel about this whole situation? What's unfolding, or what she got into now?
She is obviously very committed. On the one hand, here is an opportunity of something that can be made right. But that being said, it's obviously a little bit daunting because it's an entire nation of Xantharos where this is their. It sounds like from what she's heard, it's embedded in their culture. It's practiced by the entire people. So trying to at this point, she's still listening and observing and actually seeing. And there's multiple layers of threat that she's all hearing. Everything from the Sahuagin and the invasion there, and she already knows they're bad. And now we have Xantharos and they're slavers and they're cruel. That's bad. And then also the mention of Arvanshi. Did I say that right?
Arvanshi, yeah.
Arvanshi. And of course, how that relates to Morgar.
Yes.
And that is bad.
Yes.
So this whole dynamic, and then a little bit like what Rax feels of, she has complete trust in Lars, Ko, and Rax at this point. In terms of maybe they haven't shared personal histories quite so much, but they have had each other's back where it counts, which is when our lives were on the line, when things needed to be taken care of, we took care of it and we were there for each other. And that's really all she needs to know. She's like, there we go. We're good with that. But now, like Rax was talking about, or, you know, Joe, because he's a real person.
Very much so.
Right. You know, it's always getting used to the people around you. And that dinner was kind of an exposure of, hey, not just civilians, but some individuals who have they're not as committed to maybe, she doesn't know that yet. You're like, what is your version of right and wrong? And where are you going to become the next essentially threat or whatever needs to be, or wrong that needs to be made right?
Yes.
And I'd like to stress that they might also be liabilities, because Father Wolnir and Cadwyn were kind of given into our care and our responsibility, for protecting them, which is of course might be a liability.
Of course.
You know, as well.
I would like to add to this thought that getting to know more about Santaros and the situation there and those roles that don't tell a tale with their 4s and 3s or whatever you achieve there. So that's important. So you might want to talk to some of these people who already know more, and that's probably Sorian Finanza, who has a shop there.
Right.
And Geeks and Jade, Jade, who's been there many times. Probably the most knowledge about Santoros and everything going on there is with Sorian Finanza, who is basically a resident and going home. But as an outsider, Geeks and Jade can tell you more, or maybe a different perspective, they can present.
That was definitely something that Mayra clued in on. The dinner didn't seem like the right place and it was the first time she was hearing that, wait a minute, you're from there? Because I'm assuming all she really knows about Xantharos is what we heard from, I have his name, Samuel Drayle, which made it sound like they're close society.
Who also doesn't know much about it.
Yeah, you heard legends, you heard stories,
Legends, yeah.
Right.
you learned your history about it, but it's very, very basic level probably.
Right, and that was the kind of the thing. That's why she was or I was surprised. I don't know, maybe she wasn't supposed to be surprised that a human does business on the island, and that and it makes sense that there would be trade back and forth. But anywho, long story long, yes, that was definitely something she wanted to start
The
asking.
Shrine of Talent, that's his shop's name, the Shrine of Talent, where he sells antiquities. I also would like to just put this thought out or feeling in public, that I kind of feel like you guys jumped on a situation where you're honored by one of the leaders of a nation and offered, in the case of Rex, probably the biggest lead, a lot of golds to help out in basically a very simple situation. It's just talking, I just go there, convince people, and then I go home. And then now Mara first kind of realizes out of all three of you that, okay, these are not the good guys we're going to meet here, right? So yeah. Well, John.
Yeah, for time sensitivity, I think Ko's headspace is, this is a bad babysitting gig, going to a country where going to a place where we might upheave the whole culture if this situation arises, and finding an evil that should be easy, but that we're babysitting, and going to a culture that we may just clash with totally. All chaos is going to break at some point, and I should enjoy the food while I can.
Yeah, and while it's not, while it lasts, because others are also enjoying it.
I do want to also add that I really appreciate the dinner setup. I thought was so super cool, just from a player perspective. It reminded me of, you get this group of people together, and yeah, technically we're all traveling together and everything, but all of a sudden being around a table, and I'm just picturing that it's dark outside. Mm-hmm. Everyone's kind of sharing their stories and realizing we don't know any of these people, and we're all on a boat together. It had this kind of like a Clue vibe to it. So how did you get the letter? Well, I happen to know this, and it's like what you're like trying to figure out. It's like a who done it, but no one's done it yet. It's kind of like that, kind of like everybody.
It's coming, my friend. It's coming.
Yeah, it was a very cool vibe. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback on that really quickly, I really appreciate all the elements that are being introduced, because it gives, as a player, oh, I heard this, and you start to grab on those. So I really appreciate that.
I would, and thank you for bringing that up, April, because I would like to ask you to please not forget everything that happens. The rune, and entwined rune on the back of Kaduin Gwilas' head. The father. I'm not really going to give you I'm sorry. That's where I'm going to stop helping, because there are lots of clues dropped there. Okay,
And it's all in here.
and it's minor or more. It's been maybe just told once or twice. In the next episodes, we are going to maybe mention more of that. You know, maybe you next time you each session you will have a chance to catch that tattoo. So
And we'll talk with the captain for sure.
and you will talk with the captain, and a lot to do. You can even win his favor, if not here at the table, but in some other way. And yeah, that concludes our session today. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. I can see you did too, so that was fun. And see you next time.
Yeah, see you guys next time.